Good morning, everyone. Welcome to another edition of Help Awaken. My name is Garhen, and we present our live help and advice today. How is everyone this morning? Hi, Jennifer. How are you? Boy, you were on there like boom. And Kelly was waiting to hit enter. And Cindy. Good morning, Cindy. Oh, it's nice to see everyone. Kelly will comment, I'm sure, but I have been just working myself ragged. And let me tell you, when you have a back like mine, we're working on a low-slung deck and bending over all day long, isn't that helpful? But you know what? It's not done yet, but I promised pictures, and I'm going to show pictures today. So, without further ado, we're going to get that out of the way. And again, just a blessed, happy Sunday morning to everyone. And so I want you to know that, first of all, with a little bit of suspense, that I have done all of this completely on my own. It started with a bare clay backyard with hardly any grass that could grow in it. And I started last year in September. I did the whole month of September working on it, and then we started up at the end of April, and I've worked diligently up to this point, and I figure we're about 2 weeks away. Now this morning I finished the very last coat of the rubber on the cement. And there was lots of reasons for that. Protection. It's literally bulletproof now. And the deck's probably another couple of weeks away. We have 1 week for the whole pond to cure, and then we'll be able to actually install all the waterworks and get the waterfall going and the like. So yeah, and I did this for my sweetie because she's always wanted one in her backyard. So let's just find the images here. Okay, so drum roll. So here we go. This is the view from the deck, our upper deck by our back balcony doors, and this is our backyard space. And you can see the Buddha will actually be sat back and behind the waterfall. He's actually sitting right on top of the waterfall right now. And yeah, there's the pond and the plum tree right in the center on an island. And I bought Kelly this beautiful flowering white rose, and he grows up on this trellis, and he's a climbing one. He's going to climb all over that, and there'll be a carpet of green and white roses in behind the Buddha and the waterfall. And there's the side of the wraparound deck I'm working on. And planted it full of wave petunias, and all summer long those are going to fill that whole thing with flowers. And the view from a little further back on the deck. We have a little fountain on the deck here right by our balcony door, so we can hear running water all the time. And then there's the picture at night of the corner that's lit so far. We're waiting for other solar lighting. But yeah, it's a beautiful effect. Yeah, so that's the pond and the deck. It's been a lot of work, but well worth the effort. About 1.5 tons of rock. We kayaked to the far side of Mara Lake 30 times last year to collect that rock on our kayaks. We kayaked all the way across the lake. We collected the rock from the far shore along an old railway bed and slope. And then we would haul them back on the kayaks, load them in the car, bring them home. And it was about a 3-kilometer kayak return trip. As on top of that, so we certainly got our exercise. But yeah, we've touched every rock in there, all hand done. Really just loved it. Kelly's being a suck. Yeah, it's been great. So that's the pond and deck. And yeah, it is. The whole point of it is to make a holy place, a place you can be comfortable. And in behind the deck is, right now we have kale and strawberries and rhubarb and onions. And eventually we'll have our other rock beds done out along the side. And once that's done, I'll do a full video, I think, and show everyone that. So we have a few things to talk about today, and that was the fun stuff, and now we're going to come to the little more serious stuff, and I want to talk about what is known as spiritual ego, and this is a big one. And also, thank you for the compliments. That's really appreciated. It's been a great work. But as I always say to Kelly, I don't actually need compliments. I know when I've done a good job, and I know when I've not. And this is the thing about ourselves, and about honesty with ourselves, and about authenticity and openness. It is never a failure to become aware where you've let yourself down in a way. And that's not even the right term, because when we say let ourselves down, what we're really saying is, that somehow we've done something bad, and that's not the case. We've all had times when we're doing things in our lives, or performing activities, or giving a service in some form, where we know that we're not doing what we could do, and no one really asks, well, why do we know that? How is it, if I fooled myself enough to go ahead and do something substandard, how is it that still inside there's this vibration that you haven't done your best, that you are cheating yourself, that you're letting yourself down in the process? And again, that's a poor choice of words. I'm struggling for the right definition for that, but it is not a negative thing at all. It is an awareness thing. You become aware of that because, of course, the integrity of the body field is 100% authentic all the time. It lives in perfect harmony with your higher being. It has to. If our ego had even a hint of real control over the body's energy field, outside of being able to directly affect it through its thought processes, of course. But I'm talking about to be able to control it, and it can for certain lengths of time. We can take over our breath for short moments, for short spans of time. Myself, I love to swim, and although I doubt it's quite where it is, it's not there now. But certainly 4 years ago, when Kelly and I had got together, I was swimming every day, 10K, regardless. And I used to practice holding my breath, and I could control my breath for about 4.5 to 5 minutes underwater. But we can never take conscious control of the intelligence of this field, and there's a reason for it, because if we did, we'd wind up dead. If we could take long-term control of it, we would end up offering ourselves much too quickly. We'd forget about certain functions that needed to be dealt with, and end up poisoning ourselves some way, probably through not dealing with our own digestive systems properly. The point is this: there is always a resonance inside of us that directs us as to whether we're on the path or whether we're straying off the path. And whether you're straying on the path or off the path, you're always on the path. It's just how confused and muddled the path becomes. How many twists and turns, how many switchbacks, how many hard climbs, how many slippery slopes, how many muddy fields, versus a path in sunshine and flowers. Spiritual ego, and we're going to bring this up again in the next video, and I spend a lot of time in deep contemplation, and this is where unfortunately a lot of people tend to miss out. We're watching a series called Buddha on Netflix right now, and it is an indie produced series. It is subtitled, And it is fantastic. It is a long series, and it is a dramatization of the life of Buddha, but it is exceptionally well done, and the messages are strong and clear. And what I said to Kelly yesterday, because, Kelly's been struggling a lot with the whole family issue, with the level of awakening. She's very much in the dark night of the ego still. And there's a lot of people still trapped there. And this can become part of that spiritual ego, and we're going to talk a little more deeply about what spiritual ego means in a moment. But in this episode, the prince, Siddhartha, okay, he gives up everything. He gives his royal horse. He hands his lifelong friend Chenna a wrapped cloth with all his jewels, all his royal garb. He strips himself of all of that, and he crosses the river and enters the forest to begin life as an ascetic, to go search out the root cause of suffering in the world. Because all around him he sees the suffering, and he experiences the suffering himself, and ultimately he doesn't want to suffer anymore. And everyone suffers and asks, why do they suffer? But no one asks, why is there suffering? And he wants an answer to that. And I said to Kelly, I said, this is a prime example, because she's sitting there and she goes, wow. I said, yeah. I said, this is why Christ had to take 40 days in the desert. This is why Moses had to go up on the mountain. This is why I had to strip away everything from myself and go homeless and wander I didn't get it in 40 days or, a short period of time in a forest meditating. No, I had to cross the Himalayas, cross deserts, walk way in excess of the whole, easily 25, 30,000 kilometers. Easily. Heck, I put on a couple thousand kilometers just before Kelly and I met, walking to the coast and back to raise awareness. The point is this: when we're out alone, when we are stripped bare, it is then that our minds become quiet enough. It is then that we reach the space of stillness within us, that grace can pour in, that cup can be filled. Everyone needs and will experience this moment in their lifetime. Everyone. You're guaranteed to. And if not in this lifetime, you will experience it in another lifetime. But it is part of your evolution. It is part of the process of waking up. But there's a trap in there, and the trap is an egoic trap, and it tends to stick us in this place of what I call spiritual ego. And Kelly ran into this with her sister. She said to me, my sister's I've always looked up to her. She's so spiritual. She's always talking to, about her past lives and communicating with the family here who's like her past life family. And, little alarm bells are going off in my head, because to me, all I'm hearing is spiritual ego. I'm waiting for the actual depth to occur. And as it turns out, because I am an observer of behavior, I'm an observer of words and of deeds, as an indicator of whether what the person's thinking and what their ideology is, and how that manifests itself into the world around them. And I had to say to Kelly, you know what? Unfortunately, your sister suffers from spiritual ego. She's not really having those deep, profound experiences. She's imagining them. She's completing them at an egoic level. And Kelly says, well, why? How can you tell these things? How do you possibly know that? I said, well, look at the behavior. Look at the things she's said. Look at the position that she is in, and the total lack of activity, the total lack of support, the lack of communication, all these indicators. They're all pointing that the words coming out have no connection to the behavior and the manifestation of the being in society. And You know, everyone who knows me up to date knows I'm a totally straight up guy, and I will never ever be anything else but that. And you know what? It's too easy to just stray off the path of where we're going. You know, Buddha understood that he had to make his spiritual growth a priority in his life, not something as a hobby, not something as on the back burner, not something to be interested in and to talk about and to read about, but something to actually practice. Seek ye first the kingdom of God within you. All spiritual texts, every text, point to this truth that you have to make your conscious awareness, your consciously raising your awareness, the first priority in your existence. And I say this to everyone because I love all of you. And I want to see an end to your perceived suffering as well. And I want to see the gifts you have manifest themselves to the fullest, most magnificent power of your being. Choose for yourself a path. There is no better path. There is no right path. There is no wrong path. It doesn't matter in this universe which direction you turn. Everything, you are the center of everywhere, no matter where you are. That's one of the most unique things about our universe, and so many people miss the deeper spiritual truth of our physical observations that the earth appears to be at the center of the universe. And if you're standing on Saturn, Saturn appears to be the center of the universe. In other words, wherever you are, wherever that I am, that consciousness is observing itself, it is the center. It's all focused on the observer. It's all focused on you. As you look out through your eyes, all of creation is looking right back at you. You're not off on the edge. You're not in some place you have to worry. You are at the center of creation. Choose a path. Anyone. Pick one that suits you. You know, I'm not saying don't explore, but what I'm saying is don't get caught up in spiritual ego. Don't get up in being a path explorer and never stepping into the darkness of that path. You know, you can think of yourself standing in a meadow surrounded by light. And everywhere you look, there's paths going into the forest. Some of them look really tough. Some of them look really easy. You have to choose one, and you have to be willing to step out of the light and move into the darkness and explore that path. And it doesn't take you very long when you start exploring those paths to find out whether they truly suit you or not. And if they don't, drop it. Come back out to that meadow again. Choose a new path and give your entire being to it. Pick a path that serves you best, that rings most true to you. My path is an open path. I read spiritual literature when my own state of being, my own egoic state is stronger than I am able to deal with. And that happens to all of us. And then I will pick up the Bhagavad Gita or another book, and I will look for the appropriate section that applies to me, and I will read it. And then I will put that book down. And I will contemplate and meditate, and I will look for the lessons. Meditation, and let's be clear about meditation. Meditation is anything you do with full conscious awareness. You can be meditating doing the dishes. The dishes are doing themselves. Just be fully present. Bring fully present awareness into your every moment of your day. That is the work. That is the task. That is the job. That is that which we must do. Yesterday it was really funny. Not 2 seconds after Kelly completed something, I asked her, "Oh, did you do this?" And she looked at me with a blank look on her face. And she said, "I think so." I said, "Well, did you or didn't you?" She said, "Well, I think I did." But she honestly didn't know. And I asked her, I said, "Well, where were you?" And of course she was off somewhere in her mind again. It takes work to stay present. It takes work to be present. One of the other aspects of spiritual ego is finding ourselves in a place of awareness and forgetting so quickly as we gaze upon others who are still sleeping that we were once there too. Being surrounded by people who are asleep and your mind is filled with all your thoughts about what you think about them, you're one of the sleeping people too. The degree to which you are truly awake is the degree to which you find stillness in your mind. The degree to which you accept what life brings you openly and honestly, where you do not fight and you do not squabble with it, and you do not rail your fists against it, but instead you accept on faith alone that there is an intrinsic need for it to be here, and take your power back and choose, and then choose again. Honor what you create and then let it go. But if you're beating up your fists against the wall, if you're sitting in a crowd of people and in your mind you're going, "Oh, I wish these people would be quiet. They're talking, why can't they talk about something spiritual, something more deep?" You're asleep too. You are. You have to learn to simply make a choice to stay there and be that center of calm and gaze upon those who are sleeping around you as you would gaze upon children, realizing that not a short time ago you were in that same spot. And when I say a short time, I'm talking the spans of lifetimes. We will all experience every aspect of humanity if you can take that point and drive it deep into your heart like a stake into a vampire. Okay? You will never be able to look at another person and see what they're doing and be angry for them anymore. You will only have compassion. Why? Because you will understand that either you have been there or you will be there. And the way you choose to deal with it is a direct reflection of what it is you wish to express. Every thought is an expression of you. Every word is an expression of you. Every deed is an expression of you. And when I say you, I mean the God consciousness manifested in you through that particular filter we would call I. Don't beat yourself up about this. This isn't what this is about. I'm not chastising anybody. But what I'm saying is, don't become a judger yourself. It's very easy. If you grew up in organized religion, you're surrounded by judgment all the time. It's very simple to take that judgment and just twist it and reform it a little bit, and now we call it spiritual judgment. Well, you're not as awake as I am. Well, you're still asleep. I keep reminding Kelly, it is not our path to worry or wonder what other people are on their path about. As a matter of fact, we can't possibly understand it. We weren't there before their birth planning their journey with them. We were there before our birth planning our journey with those involved. And here's the deal. Anybody you run into in your life, whether they're in it for a moment or in it for a decade or your whole life, they're involved. There's something there, something to be given, something to be taken. It won't last. It never does. It'd be boring if it did. Change is life. Life is change. So do choose a path. Do make it a priority with yourself. Breathe. You know, Eckhart Tolle once said that 2 minutes a few times a day of conscious breathing is far more value in raising your conscious awareness, in helping you to awaken, than any number of high-cost lectures or seminars you could go to. And it's true. 4 or 5, if you can do it, 1 to 2 minute sessions, even just 2 breaths, a half a dozen times a day. Within a year, your conscious awareness, your awareness of being will raise so much. But how many of us honestly stick with the practice? You know, I've been kind of leaning on Kelly a little bit. I've been saying to her, you know, okay, well, how much of the 30-day practice did you actually stick to? You know, we want an end to the suffering. We want our perceptions of things to change, and we don't want to have to fight our egoic selves so much. Are we willing to throw and strip away everything from ourselves and cross that river, leave our homeland, leave safety, and enter into that dark forest to find out who we really are? And I'm speaking metaphorically here. It doesn't mean you have to throw all your things away, although for me it was necessary at the time. Now I live in total detachment to everything I possess. Why? Because I know I don't possess it. I'm simply a steward of it for a length of time. It's not mine. Why? Because I refuse to attach myself to things. It's not worth it. I attach myself to my wife, whom I love dearly. Time in nature. Spend more time in nature. If you have the opportunity to turn this video off and go out and spend some time in the forest or on a lake or in the trees or in a park, go. I'll be here for the rerun. You can always watch it later when you don't want to be outside. Nature will heal you. And, you know, 1 week in nature will reset your entire biological system completely. From your immune system to your endocrine system to your biological clock, everything will reestablish its base natural rhythm again. Ground yourself daily. Bare feet in the grass if you have the opportunity. I'm not really much for anything between you and the earth in order to properly ground yourself. The reason I bring these things up is because, you know, I've been noticing over time that the questions are devolving into sort of a, you know, ancient mysteries sort of video show in some cases. The point for the discussions is to help people awaken, to help you in your journey, to talk about the issues that we face and how we can get through them, to be supportive for one another and in the times that we struggle, whether it's through physical health or disease or emotional issues. Being here for you is what matters to me. So this Sunday live that we're going to do at 1 o'clock, this is going to be the last one that we're going to do with these sort of questions, okay? What I really want to see from people are the honest, deeper questions, the questions that have meaning, the questions that really matter. All this other thing that we've been talking about, a lot of it is based on the illusion, and a lot of it doesn't really apply. And I'm not saying don't show some interest in it just for curiosity's sake. But again, what is it you're looking for? What is it you've chosen to do while you're here? And it's okay. You can spend a life kind of dabbling with yourself in conscious raising and in conscious awareness and an awakening. There's no hurry. There's no set rule that says, well, you have to do it in this life if you become aware of it. As a matter of fact, you need to know that if you've had even a glimmer in this life, it means you have gone through many, many, many lives already totally asleep. And this life is a product of all of that. And it's a glorious beginning. That first glimmer of light seeping in through the closed eyes of our ego is glorious. And I know when you wake up, it seems like everything's turned to hell in a handbasket. And to the ego, it's very much that way. And there's a natural reason for it. It has to be stripped away. And the more it tries to hold on, the more we have to relax and be willing to let go. And always bring our attention back to the one thing that we're going to choose. And here's the funny thing, okay, and I speak from direct experience with this. When you finally trust enough, when you finally give in, when you finally allow that sea of consciousness to hold you and support you the way it chooses, you cease to have to worry about any other aspect of your existence. Things just begin to flow naturally. Your health begins to flow naturally. Your activity levels, your desire to exercise, to be in nature, to do, to help, to be of service, all begin to expand all by themselves. And that's the wisdom in seek ye first. Why? Because everything else is going to come along with that. You know, ultimately, we were never put here to have to raise a finger physically. That was only in fun. That was only in the playground. That was just like the kids in the park. Everything we need to manifest to live, everything we need to do, we can actually do with our minds alone, and we have the proof of it. And we're going to talk about that in the Awaken Sunday Live under such subjects as telekinesis and what is known in the East as the cities, or the so-called magical powers. And these belong to no one and everyone. That's where I'm going to leave you all today. Much love. Namaste to you all. Really looking forward to the 1 o'clock. Don't get me wrong. I love the discussions. But at the same time, I do not want to be one to pull you into distraction. You know, I'm here to help keep you focused. I'm here to help you grow consciously and through that, myself as well, because we always teach what we need to learn. We're always both students and the teacher. Again, much love. Namaste. We love you all. We will see you at 1 o'clock this afternoon on the Awaken the World channel. Until then, have a wonderful Sunday morning.